Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. Follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I am also on Cash App and Venmo if you would just like to send me a couple of bucks. That way you can at the Joey Harris, and of course patreon.com/babykangaroomedia for bonus episodes of the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, the Joey Harris Super Show, the Green Room, the Book Club Baristas, and so much more. Just $5 a month for hours of extra content. And folks, we are back again in my busy season at work, but we will get through it as today we take a look at Halloween Havoc 1995 from WCW. Halloween Havoc 1995 was shown on pay-per-view on October the 29th, 1995 from the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. There were 13,000 in attendance, and the show did 110,000 buys. We start off with our intro. Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan welcome us to Halloween Havoc. They announced that Brian Pillman and Arn Anderson have attacked Ric Flair. Flashback to what led to the first match, WCW World Television Championship match. Diamond Dallas Page with the Diamond Doll, Kimberly and Max Muscle versus Johnny B. Bad. Bad attacks Page right away. It goes outside. Bad runs Page and Max's heads together. It goes out in the crowd. Page thrown in. Bad with a drop toe hold and an armbar into a wrist lock. Back into an armbar. Page gets out. Back and forth. Bad with a slam for a 2 count. Page with a hot shot to Bad in the corner. Page attacks Bad. He beats Bad down in the corner. Page with a belly to back suplex. Page with a pancake for a 2 count. Page with a chin lock to Bad. Bad gets out, but Page pulls him back down. Bad gets a backslide for a 2 count. They trade moves and counters. They trade 2 counts. Page with a scoop slam for a 2 count. Another move for a 2 count. Max distracts referee Nick Patrick so Page can choke Bad with his wrist tape. Bad gets back to his feet. Bad breaks with a belly to back suplex. Bad with some shots to Page. Bad with an atomic drop and a head scissors to Page. Hits a double axe handle for a 2 count. Kimberly gives Bad a 10 on the scoring system. Page hits the Diamond Dream out of an Irish whip. Bad blocks a Diamond Cutter attempt. Bad with the corner mounted punches. Page spills to the outside. Bad with the Bad Day for a 2 count. Muscle grabs Bad for Page to hit, but Bad ducks and drop kicks Page into Muscle to get a 2 count. Page grabs Bad, who ducks a Muscle clothesline that takes Page out. Bad gets the pin to become the new television champion. Tony and Bobby talk about what has gone down between Hulk Hogan and the Giant. The Zodiac versus Randy Savage. They fight to the outside as a fan gets into the ring. Zodiac ran into the barricade. Zodiac runs Savage into a ring post. Zodiac misses a splash. Savage hits the flying elbow to get the pin. Mean Gene Okerlund interviews Johnny B. Bad. He says dreams do come true. Flashback to what led to the next match. Kurosawa with Colonel Robert Parker versus Hawk. Hawk comes in and hits a shoulder block and a neck breaker for a 2 count. He kicks Kurosawa. All Hawk so far. Hawk with a corner whip, but misses the corner splash. Hawk hits a powerbomb. Kurosawa hits a slam. He misses an elbow. Hawk clotheslines Kurosawa out. Hawk clotheslines Parker from the apron. Kurosawa runs Hawk into a ring post. Kurosawa with a fireman's carry crucifix slam to get the pin with his feet on the ropes. Mean Gene interviews Randy Savage about possibly wrestling Lex Luger. Savage takes a shot at Luger and Hulk Hogan. Sabu with the Sheik versus JL. JL is, of course, Jerry Lynn. Sabu's short-lived WCW run. They start to fight as soon as Sabu gets to the ring. Sabu with a moonsault that takes JL and the Sheik out on the floor. JL with a crossbody to Sabu on the outside. Sabu misses a moonsault. JL with a moonsault for a 2 count. Powerbomb for a 2 count. JL misses a Bronco Buster back and forth. JL with a bridge for a 2 count. Sabu with a victory roll for a 2 count. JL gets guillotined. Sabu hits a springboard moonsault to get the pin, and the Sheik throws a fireball on JL afterwards. That would be it for Sabu and WCW. They showed the Master and Kevin Sullivan. It goes on way too long. They say the Giant and the Yeti will destroy Hulkamania. Tony and Bobby then talk about what just happened. Mean Gene is with Hulk Hogan, who presents the Harley-Davidson winner Mike Hill. We then get a World War III ad. Ming with the Taskmaster versus Lex Luger. Luger comes out looking determined. He attacks Ming right away. Luger with a side headlock. He stomps Ming. He catapults Ming on the top rope. Ming comes back. He kicks Luger and gets a small package for a 2 count. Luger comes back and clotheslines Ming to the outside. He runs the arm down on the turnbuckles. Back and forth. Ming beats Luger down. They trade blows. Luger misses a corner charge. Ming falls on Luger as Luger lifts him up to get a 2 count. Ming beats Luger in the corner. Ming hits a pile driver. He chokes Luger. Ming with a reverse chin lock. Luger comes back. Double crossbody. Ming gets a 2 count. Luger dumps to the outside. Sullivan comes over and talks to Luger. This is the further speculation that Luger has joined the Dungeon of Doom. Back in, Ming keeps up the assault. Ming reverses a drop kick when Luger holds on to the ropes. Luger hits a suplex. Luger with a series of clotheslines and a backdrop. More clotheslines than Ming and a power slam. Ming gets the golden spike and hits Luger. Sullivan comes in and kicks Luger to get Ming disqualified. Ming is upset at Sullivan and Luger now faces Savage. Mean Gene talks to the Giant. He says he will win the Monster Truck match and win the WCW title. Arn Anderson and Brian Pillman versus Ric Flair and Sting. Anderson and Pillman out first. Sting comes out alone because Flair was reportedly injured by Anderson and Pillman. Anderson and Sting start. They lock up. Sting reverses a hammerlock. The fans chant, "We want Flair." Sting fights off a double team attempt. Anderson with a shoulder block. Sting comes back and unloads on Pillman and Anderson. Pillman tagged in. He pokes Sting in the eye and bails out. Sting follows and clotheslines both Anderson and Pillman down. Back in. Sting press slams Pillman. Anderson tagged in. Sting catapults Anderson into Pillman and launches Pillman into the barricade. Anderson runs Sting into Pillman and then kicks Sting down. Flair comes down and goes after Anderson. Pillman and Sting fight on the outside. Pillman tagged in. He gets Sting down with a drop toe hold and Anderson tagged in. Anderson with a rear chin lock. The crowd chants, "We want Flair." Pillman tagged in and goes for a splash, but Sting gets his knees up. Anderson tagged in and prevented Sting from tagging. Sting fights back. Flair goes after Pillman. Anderson with an abdominal stretch. He grabs Pillman's hand for leverage. Pillman tagged in. He drives Sting's face into the mat. Pillman puts a half crab on. Anderson and Pillman quick tagging and keeping Sting down. Pillman gets a series of 2 counts. Anderson in and hits a spine buster for a 2 count. Pillman back in and gets a leg scissors on. Anderson tagged in and kept the leg lock on. Sting fights to tag Flair in. Anderson pulls Sting back and Pillman tagged in. He hits a snapmare. Double team to Sting. He fights back. He gets out of the corner. He crawls towards his corner to tag Flair. He tags Flair in and Flair. Anderson and Pillman attack Sting. He fights back but gets triple teamed by Flair, Anderson, and Pillman. Mean Gene out to try to find what's going on. Flair says that the Horsemen are back. Anderson says, "Be careful what you wish for." Medics are out checking on Sting. Mike Tenay interviews Lex Luger about what happened in the Ming match and about Randy Savage. Luger says he doesn't know what is happening, but when the bell rings, he's going to be there against Savage. Tony and Bobby talk about the history between Hulk Hogan and the Giant. Eric Bischoff and Bob Chandler join Bobby for the Monster Truck Challenge. Hulk Hogan versus the Giant. The goal is to run the truck of your opponent out of a set circle. The trucks are welded together. They go back and forth. It goes on way too long. Hogan pushed back, and only one set of wheels went back. They battle back to the center. One of the random charges goes off. Hogan pushes back and pushes the Giant back, and Hogan wins. Giant comes out and comes after Hogan. He lifts Hogan up. They fight on the edge. The Giant appears to fall off the edge. This is hokey. They say they don't know what to say, but I do. Don't do this. Challenge match: Lex Luger versus Randy Savage. Luger out first. Savage then comes out. Neither man gets a big ovation, although it is bigger when Savage comes out. They stare at each other. The bell rings. Luger offers his hand. Savage attacks Luger instead. Luger comes back and knocks Savage down. Jimmy Hart comes to ringside. Luger beats Savage down in the corner. Luger kicks Savage in the midsection and guillotines him on the top rope. Savage fights back. They are preoccupied with what happened to the Giant. It goes outside, and Luger hits a double axe handle to Savage from the apron. Savage runs Luger into a ring post and barricade. Savage gets caught coming off the top rope. Back and forth. Hart up on the apron. Luger ran into Hart, and Savage got the pin after an elbow drop. Bobby Heenan gets up and leaves the broadcast position to find out about the Giant, but comes back and says he can't get out. They recap what happened on the roof. Michael Buffer makes the introductions for the main event. WCW World Heavyweight Championship match. Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Hart versus the Giant with Kevin Sullivan. Hogan and Hart out first. Hogan says what happened on the roof wasn't supposed to happen and goes on about it until the Giant and Sullivan show up. Giant goes after a shocked Hogan, who gets out of the ring. He tells referee Randy Anderson to get Giant back. The bell rings. Hogan avoids a Giant rush and attacks Giant, but has trouble knocking him down. Hogan tries to slam Giant, but Giant attacks Hogan. Giant beats Hogan in a corner. He chokes Hogan in the corner. All Giant so far. Test of strength, and Hogan is on his knees. Hogan tries to come back, but gets taken down by the Giant. Giant scoop slams Hogan. Hogan avoids a leg drop and comes back. He runs Giant into a turnbuckle and hits corner-mounted punches to Giant. Hogan hits a corner whip and clothesline. Hogan with a series of clotheslines to knock Giant out of the ring. Giant and Sullivan go to leave, but Hogan goes after them and throws Giant back in the ring. Hogan with a shoulder block. Back and forth. Giant hits a backbreaker. He gets a 2 count. Giant attacks Hogan, who starts the comeback. Giant gets a bear hug on. Hogan struggles to get out. Hogan breaks the hold, but Giant slams Hogan. Giant goes back to the bear hug. Hogan breaks loose again. Giant hits a choke slam. Hogan kicks out at 2. He starts his second comeback. He hulks up. He hits the leg drop, but the referee had gone down as Hart had hit Anderson. Hart shoves Anderson and hits Hogan with the world belt. The Giant puts Hogan in the bear hug again. Lex Luger and Randy Savage come out, and Hart hits Savage with the belt, and Luger attacks Savage. The Yeti comes out, and he and Giant double hump Hogan for effect. Luger puts Savage in the torture rack. This is chaos. The crowd boos. The Giant wins by disqualification. He grabs the title even though you can't win that way. The heels celebrate as Hogan and Savage are down. Tony and Bobby recap what just happened. Medics are out to check on Savage and Hogan. They finally get up and out of the ring as they sign off from Detroit. We then get our end credits. Final thoughts. Everything after the Flair turn on Sting is insanity. Give it one watch for the completists. You can follow me on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.